how's everybody? Guess who we brought today? We brought Mr. Project. We've got Steve Harris here with us today. This is great. This is really great because on our first bingo that we ever did, we tried to get you on board for that one, and we gave you like an hour's notice. So that was kind of tough. So it's great to have you here today, and it's really great with a project that's near and dear my heart, the First Responders Project. And let's have Steve kind of talk about the First Responders Project a little bit while I bring up the page. And we'll show everybody what's it all about.
Yeah. So the First Responders Project actually started out as a small little free space page by a member named Mary G. She was working through a couple of items and reached out for assistance and, wanted to see what we could do with the project. We ended up expanding the scope a little bit. Obviously now we're a functional project underneath the global banner. And we're just trucking along. Only a few members so far, but we're hoping a lot of you will join us.
I just really think this is we have a lot of these really super cool projects that are there. We know of them. If you're a person that likes categories on profiles, and you have a profile of a firefighter, say you'll do a quick little search for the category, and you'll add firefighter or police or whatever it might be. But you probably didn't know this big page was here that had all the details. And this is really great because you also have all the stickers. This is one of the biggest questions that I think every project gets. How do I do the stickers?
Right.
And you have all of them pretty much here. And the important ones. This reminds me, police always kind of reminds me a little bit of the military as well, especially when we're talking about these stickers. So for military, you have the killed in action, but for the police and the first responders, we have killed in the line of duty.
Right.
And those stickers are there. And we've got something really kind of different for the bingo this time to share with everybody. And I think now would probably be a good time since we're talking about the line of duty. Let's share a video with you real quick. I think this one is the short one. And Steve wanted to show this particular one. Why?
So what we're working with here is when you're working with first responders who are killed in the line of duty, they typically have a little ceremony that they call an end of watch. So these are radio calls that will go out, requesting a response from the fallen officer. Obviously, there's going to be moments of silence where the officer doesn't respond, and then a short little memorial message, and it's broadcast throughout the entire police, fire, or EMS system through their radios. So this is just a short example of one.
Okay, everybody. I did warn people, bring your tissues.
Oh my gosh.
Oop, doesn't sound like we have any sound.
Oh. No sound?
No sound.
Let's see. Let's come back to this. Let's see if I can work on the sound a bit. I'll also put the link so everybody can see it.
Yep.
Let me try one more thing. Any sound now? Nope. That's not
Sound like
either.
it.
Okay. We'll work on that, guys. We'll work on that. Because it's really emotional. My dad was a police officer and chief of police and a volunteer firefighter. And there's been just a few times I've been in his police car where you hear this type of message come out. And even as a young child, it really hits you kind of hard because you know that somebody was trying to do what they wanted to do as a public servant and ended up losing their life, or sometimes it's not as tragic as well. Now, I want to go into, we're talking about police officers right now, but this project also goes into different occupations. What occupations, Steve, do we want to talk about with first responders?
Man, pretty much anything you can really think of. So, obviously, police officers, that's kind of the first and foremost in everybody's mind. A lot of people think of EMTs, so emergency medical technicians, or anyone who works in an EMS field, paramedics, obviously firefighters as well. There was kind of a little bit of a collaboration going along with some of the 9/11 project members, for a lot of the firefighters who lost their lives during the 9/11 attacks. And then also, as well as the civil defense volunteers, so the people that do civil protection or civil services. And some examples of that may be some of they're not really always commissioned officers, but those like Native Americans who work on reservations in some of these. They may not be a licensed technician or something of that nature, and it sounded like you had sound there, Sandy.
Yep. And we figured out the sound. I do have a question too. Mary G actually asked me this earlier in case she couldn't come join the bingo. There's a Native American reservation ranch police officers. Would those be classified just as a law enforcement? For example, this first example of the sticker, law enforcement, and she could put the text here of what they were, that they were on a reservation police officer?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so categorize those then as police officer, and then she could add the text. Okay, let's go ahead and this video one more time. Kind of found a workaround for it. Let's see if it works. And you guys tell me if you can hear it.
Okay.
And
County to 401. Going 401.
Yeah, it sounded like the audio kind of dropped off at the very end of it, but you could hear in the very first beginning where they're making a call out to the officer. There's going to be moments of silence. They'll make repeated attempts, typically 2 to 3 attempts at contacting the officer, and then we'll go into the announcement.
hold on, I don't run some video come in. Oh yeah. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. I had some other audio pumping in through my ear. Okay. That video is chilling. It just is kind of amazing how much you imagine you're sitting there as a police officer or first responder, and you hear that video is very chilling to hear, because you know the end result with that.
Right.
And I want to point out, Eowyn and I always talk about how almost every project can be related to something else. So we do have the world disasters, the first responders. You mentioned 911. That would be a way that the Worldwide Disasters Project could be involved in this. Of course, the cemeteries, because you can do a profile from Find a Grave and carry it over. Most of the Find a Graves I find for first responders that especially killed in the line of duty or have a lot of information. And so let me ask you this: for military police officers, would those how would we categorize those?
So if they are active military, then it would fall under the Roll of Honor project. But what you'll find is that there may be a lot of military personnel who have now transitioned to civilian service. and will work as firefighters, police officers, etc. So there's a lot of cross between the military and war project, like you said, the cemeteries project, obviously. So yeah, there's a lot of projects that it can work with. I'm actually looking at maybe contacting Emma pretty soon. I have a couple of officers that would fit well under USBH, and I could use their help in fleshing out those profiles. So there's a lot of collaboration opportunities that can happen there as well.
Nice.
I think that's something that we are finding with the bingo, that we keep talking about the projects and finding all these different ways that you can. And I never thought about the USBH connecting in through there as well. So that's really cool. Let's show you a couple profiles, examples here that are already in WikiTree's. So this happens to be, Alphonse is a police officer, I believe, that did die in the line of duty. And you can see the detail that's here as well as the stickers. But what is interesting is a full history of his life and as well as his career. If you're a first responder, it's a calling. It's a calling like military, and there's a chance that you could maybe not make it out that day. I know, for example, my mom, every day my dad went to work, that was always in the back of her mind. But for us to be able to add these type of profiles to WikiTree as a lasting memorial, generations and generations from now, we'll be able to go back and say, wow, this was my great grandfather, and look at this memorial. This is really cool. Sometimes our folklore, our family stories come down, but we don't know the facts. But for example, this profile gives a really good idea of everything that happened. And this is a Canadian one from Mags, actually, that went through. So the other one I want to point out, this one was amazing to me. If you read this profile was really amazing to me. And such a young guy at 38. There's a couple things that I wanted to ask you, Steve. He grew up in Cut and Shoot, Texas.
Cut and Shoot, Texas. Yep. So actually, not very far from me. So obviously, I was intimately familiar with this. Not Jason himself, but with the details surrounding the incident. It was all over the news. It was a big topic out here in our little slice of the country. So.
And this particular officer, this happens way too much as well. And I love the detail on this profile on WikiTree too. This particular officer was writing a traffic ticket, and a speeder was going too fast and wasn't really watching the road. And just from him doing his job, a speeder came by and ran into him. So this was, and you can see the detail. I can tell you too, you can probably attest to this because this is real closely when an officer or firefighter go down, the entire town comes out. And not only entire town, you will get those type of firefighters or police officers around the country will come out.
Right, absolutely. So I believe in Mr. Norling's case here, what actually happened is officers from neighboring communities came in to work shifts while the entire department and community went to support Jason and his burial ceremonies and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't think about that because crime doesn't stop. You still need the officers or the firefighters. Let's move on to another profile. And for those of you that are first time at bingo or have not played bingo before, what we're going to do is put up the first bingo card here. Give me 1 second. I will get that for you. I think that's it. There you go. This is the first bingo card. What you want to do is go ahead and hit that link and bring it up. We'll talk about the bingo in just a second. We're going to go through this profile and then start the first bingo card. Hey, let me pause real quick. So we got a good question here. So I could actually add this tag to my grandfather's profile. He's a firefighter, and I believe you have it drilled down to country.
So in this case, it kind of depends. If he was killed in the line of duty, then there's a specific sticker for that. That would be the end of watch sticker. Otherwise, if you just want to notate his service as a firefighter, then we're using the occupation stickers for that. And there's some examples on the project page on how you can, customize that.
Now this one is a little bit older. This one is from North Platte, Nebraska. This one was kind of interesting profile to read. And if you like history, these are really interesting profiles to read because you can dig into a little bit further beyond this particular police officer. But what he was trying to do, he's trying to arrest two people that were in a multi-state crime spree, and they shot them. So you can even go and read the newspaper articles of the trial of the two crime spree. You can read a more detailed information about what they were doing and why this police officer was doing his job, trying to find them. And unfortunately, he was shot as he was doing it. And it's interesting. It says a posse is searching this section in an effort to apprehend two men in a large automobile who shot and instantly killed traffic officer Edward Clark. And that kind of gets me to, as a traffic officer, you think of just police officers as police officers these days, but a traffic officer is a guy that could write tickets. He could also direct traffic. You see them especially down here in the South, we use our police officers a lot for the big churches on Sunday or a big football game or things like that. And that's what a traffic officer is. So he was actually trying to stop a multi-state crime spree and got instantly killed in the line of duty.
Yep. I was actually just working on a profile this morning. It's not ready to release yet, but it was an officer who was shot and killed in 1912 up in Oklahoma, and he was just serving a warrant.
They say that's serving warrants is to somebody's door to do that, and they're waiting for you.
Yep, he was ambushed, and I believe the report said he was shot at like 12 foot with a shotgun. He survived for 3 days, ultimately succumbed to his injuries. But after that, there was a 100-man posse that was assembled and went after the killer. And he was actually arrested just a couple of hours before the officer passed away.
Oh.
So he finally got some closure before he passed.
It's tough to hear those stories, but at the same time, this is kind of why we do WikiTree's. Sometimes it's just adding a profile and we don't have any information about a person, so you add your census, your birth, your marriage, your death certificate, and you find it great. But sometimes we're able to give a little bit more detail. And I always say that even though they're tough, I do a lot of the mining disaster profiles for Southeast, and they're tough. I can do a couple a day, and then I have to walk away from it. And imagine, like you were saying, Steve, working on this gentleman's, you can work on it, and then you have to walk away for a little bit.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so is everybody ready for bingo? Let me give you guys the bingo idea of how we're going to do this. Everybody should have their bingo card up. I'm going to run through a list of bingo words that relate to our project today. You can get bingo horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Bingo. You have to be the first person to say bingo in the chat. So there could be multiple people that win at the exact same time, but it's whoever's quickest to put the word bingo in the chat, and keep doing it because sometimes I get chatty and I got to have you guys tell me many times. Yeah, I know. Oh, wait, before we begin, look who showed up. There's Mary G.
Mary G.
So, Mary G, thanks for giving us the idea on this.
Yep.
Okay, guys. And I should mention, too, I always forget this part, that the prize is up to $30 from the WikiTree's store. And the most important prize in the entire store is the bingo mug.
Definitely the most requested.
I think we have one person do a shirt.
Yeah.
But the bingo mug. And I'm proud to say I think we're the best seller in the whole entire store. So there you go. Okay. So the very first word, handcuffs. Hot. I'm not sure why
Hot.
that was a word, but we'll take it. Hot. First aid. This one's an easy one. Almost every first responder, no matter what your job is, can do that.
Yep.
Fire station. And I should say, everybody should know where your fire station is. You should know the closest one. Stop. This one's pretty obvious. If they tell you to stop, I recommend you stop, especially with the exclamation mark. Protective gear. And I do often wonder how sometimes, the firefighters, they go in, I'm in Atlanta, so they go in that heavy gear in the middle of summer into a fire. And I often wonder how they protect themselves and make sure they don't dehydrate in danger. And as you guys get close, if anybody gets really, really super close, let us know in the chat. Hose pipe. It's going to be more your firefighter. Would you say the firefighter profiles are the ones that we need to amp up in WikiTree?
We are very lacking right now as far as identifying our firefighters in templates and categories. I know there's a bunch out there, especially as they may relate to like the 9/11 project, but getting them categorized, getting stickers on their profiles is something that we are lacking right now.
Ooh, one away, one more.
They're getting close.
Oh, somebody likes the shirt. Oh wow, everybody! We've got a few people that are one. I don't know. Has it been this quick before anyone?
Yeah, that was pretty fast.
Yeah. Hospital. Oh, what? See, I waited.
Oh.
And thank you for writing that in caps. There we go. So Carol Baldwin. Now, Carol, I'm going to brag on you just a little bit. So Carol, I put up on the G2G on PIP's G2G weekend chat, which, by the way, if anybody wants to help out their 15 for 15, go to PIP's weekend chat. Carol's like, I really want to try and make this one. I want to try and make it because I don't think she has a family member that isn't a first responder. She has a lot of first responders. So there we go.
Good job, Carol.
I know. So, okay. Now, Carol, here's what you need to do to get the prize. You need to email Eowyn or Forrestal. I got to say it. You reminded me yesterday of it. So email her and tell her that you won the first bingo game for first responders. We tend to remember, but more detail. And she will hook you up with what you can select for a prize. But again, the mug is really, 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 really popular. I should point out too, I think you said that the production's a little slow.
Oh yeah, they're kind of behind on production for whatever reason. So things that I ordered beginning of January are just now being produced and shipped. So if you've had press from the Connect-a-thon or from other things and you feel like it's taking forever, it is taking forever, but they are starting to do them again. So hopefully it won't be too long.
And then, Carol, we're going to trust you with this.
Yep, just email me.
Okay. Now, let's go back to 2 more profiles, and then we're going to try one more video. I know, isn't that cool? I will tell you, I used to go to bingo with my sister-in-law at the fire halls. As a matter of fact, that's kind of coincidence.
Funny.
Never won. Okay, so we've got one more, and then we've got another video that we want to showcase. So this is another really cool one to me because it's older. It's not as current, and you can see that he died in 1912. And this is another one from Texas that Steve's been working on. And if I remember correctly, this is a firefighter who was on vacation and there's a fire, and decided, I'm a public servant. I'm a firefighter. Let me go help.
His brother was actually the fire chief, and his brother was out on vacation. So
Okay.
he felt it his duty to step up in place of his brother and act as the fire chief to help.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
and then he ended up getting trapped in a fire.
That is
I
correct.
believe.
Yeah, the entire building collapsed on them while they were trying to rescue people. So he was killed there.
And again, I know sometimes these are a little tough to do, but they're so important. Not only for us today, but they're so important for those that are going to come after us, because too many family stories and folklore. Oh yeah. He was the only one that went in, and it was building size of the Empire State Building, but this actually gives you the full facts and details. And I will tell you, I've been kind of amazed how many kids in my family line will come to me and say, I have to do a report. Can you help me out with one of our ancestors that had this, or was a firefighter, or was in the military? So these are really good stories to also continue. Now I'm going to try and bring up this second video. And this video is...
I have a download of this one, if that would work better.
Pardon?
I have a download of this video that it may help with
Let's
the
try
audio
that.
a little bit better. All right.
It should, yeah.
You may have to walk me through that, Miss Eowyn.
So Sandy can unshare for a sec. And then Steve, if you click on present down at the bottom, and then do video file.
Gotcha.
And then find the video.
All right, let's try this here.
I'll just run through some comments. And
Car 8 Lincoln 30. Car 8 Lincoln 30. Hamilton County to car 8 Lincoln 30. No response from car 8 Lincoln 30. This is the last call for Officer Dale Woods, badge number 47. End of watch, January 7th, 2019. It is with great sorrow that we mourn the passing of Officer Dale Woods, a hometown hero, raised in Coleraine Township, honorably serving the community for 23 years. Officer Woods was a devoted son, brother, father, and boyfriend. His dedication and love for family extended to his brothers and sisters at the Coleraine Township Police Department, and they loved him back. He will be missed by his family, friends, co-workers, and countless people he assisted throughout his stalwart career, especially the many officers who benefited from his field training and mentorship. The impact he has made will be his legacy. He will be remembered for his quick wit and bringing humor to the radio by acknowledging his dispatch with an "oh, right." Officer Woods remained calm, collected, and professional despite the chaos around him, and was relentless in his efforts to ensure no officer responded to calls without backup. It has been our privilege to serve with him. You will be missed, brother. Defining what a true hero is, Officer Woods continues to serve through organ and tissue donation, saving countless lives. We salute a true hero and public servant, honoring his call to the very end. 8 Lincoln 30 has answered his last call and is now 2-7 for the remainder. All right. Rest easy, sir. Squad 2A will take it from here.
I'm not Misty.
No, my heart.
I'm not
Jeez.
Misty. I mean, that gave me chills. This is just this. That was a beautiful tribute, and I agree. Somebody said, I don't know how the officer is going to make it through that call collected. How he was able to narrate that.
That he did very well. There's a lot of examples out on YouTube and other places, even on some actual sheriff websites and things of that nature, where they kind of memorialize these videos and tributes on their websites. And a lot of times they will have one of the 911 operators, initiating the call and making the speech. And it's very hard for them to make it through it. Their voice is cracking, they're crying, and it's hard for them to get through it. I mean, they've worked with these people for numbers of years, and it's very difficult.
Let's take a few questions while we, I did warn everybody, bring a tissue while we dry our eyes a little bit. I have about 10 men in my family that were railroad firemen. Would you include them in the project?
Absolutely.
And again, he has the stickers that are really great on the project first page, and you can just change the last bit of it, the text, and you can say that they were a railroad fireman or name the railroad and mention it. Let's see. I know I missed it somewhere. That's a good one too, Carol. So to join the project, you would go to the project page, check it out, and down here, how to join. And you have a welcome post. This is kind of familiar. So those of you who've joined projects on WikiTree before, there's your welcome post, and give Steve a little bit of idea on the G2G, what you're looking at, if you want to help in every area or maybe just a certain one, if EMT or firefighters. And I think that there are so many. I want to go over the sticker one more time. There are so many different types, particularly of police officers, because we talked about traffic, police officer, traffic cop. We talked about a law officer, detectives as well are a different type of police officer. We talked about reservation, Native American reservation. So again, what you would do is you'd use the sticker that Steve's provided for you, and where it says text, just give a little detail of what type of police officer it is. And same could be said for the firefighter. Firefighters are interesting because there's a tremendous amount of volunteer firefighters as well as paid firefighters. So he's giving you the stickers, or you can even add the squad and information in. I think I saw, oh, there we go. I knew that was going to come up, Steve.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the police. And I will tell everybody now, Eowyn and I both agreed yesterday, we are not showing an end of watch for a police dog. We can't do it. Cannot get through it.
If you're an animal lover, those are some of the worst.
We were saying yesterday, like, we can't even watch dog commercials, let alone end for dogs.
No, so just so everybody knows, stick with us. Still, we got lots of good information. There will not be an end to watch for a canine, police canine. So talk to us if we have police canine.
So it recently just came up. So just kind of brainstorming. I plan to do a little bit of work on that this afternoon. I think what we'll do is we'll set up a category that we can use to start, creating free space profiles for a lot of these canines. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of them that are killed in action as well. So one of the websites we haven't really talked a whole lot about yet, but you'll see it in a couple of the example profiles that we've shown is for the Officer Down Memorial page, or the P. And one of the things that they do is they actually work to catalog all the information of the first responders who are killed in the line of duty. So this is specific to police officers. So it won't include firefighters or anything of that nature, but there's a lot of information in here. And they also work on information about the canines as well, so you can find some information there. So we'll expand on that. We'll create a category where we can create space pages for these dogs. A lot of these guys are only alive because the dogs sacrificed themselves for them.
That's very true. See, we can't even, it's hard to even think about that, because I know one of the emergency vets is not too far from me. That's where they bring all the canine dogs. And you always know when you see a lot of police cars around a certain intersection, I go the other way because I can't. It's too much. Let's take this is an interesting question. So how far back in time?
As far back as you can go. If there's documentation, go for it. There's no time limit at all. And we've been talking a lot about first responder deaths and things of that nature too, but that's not all the project is focused on, right? So honoring our current police, EMTs, firefighters, things of that nature, absolutely, that is part of our goals. We want to get those occupation stickers out there. We want to get them categorized. We want to make sure that they are recognized.
And it's true. The majority of these first responders do make it to retirement, and they live a fulfilled life after retirement too. They need recognized. Public servants and military are just a special thing, and they need recognized, I think, for their service as well. Okay, right. So let's see. So if I have profiles for folks like Wyatt Earp,
they could absolutely. Yeah.
And then Eric points out, I know like Eowyn, we just adopted a rescue dog from the shelter that they believe is 14 years old. So yes, I've been getting involved in canine DNA testing and time dating. So there's yet another project that if you bring up those canine dogs, we can do canine DNA. We can work with the DNA project. And so on the right-hand side, all the dogs can see if they're related, right?
If you're able to figure out canine genealogy like that and get it documented through free space pages, no. I struggle enough with my own genealogy. There's no way I can even attempt to accomplish that for a dog.
Well, it's funny because they say they can date the dog. We're still waiting to see the age date. So who's ready for the second bingo card? This will focus more on a multitude of just generic first responder words. And again, I want to point out to win bingo, horizontally or vertically or diagonally, please shout out by typing in multiple times, bingo, 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 or bingo. So we see it. The first person who tells us they have bingo wins. And if you have won in the last 6 months, you are not eligible to win a prize until 6 months has passed from your win date. Okay, here we go. Take pictures. I do this if I'm in an accident myself, by the way. So this is just good. Notebook. I think every police officer has a notebook. You always see them, especially when you get a ticket, they're writing notes. Speaking of tickets, do you? I don't want to out my relative, but someone who is my son recently got a ticket, and in Georgia, they have a tremendous amount of service hours you have to do for tickets for kids, along with the cash.
Interesting.
Accidents. uniform. I would think too, if you have a canine that you a canine cop that you're really really close to or really hit home to you, I guess you could even do a free space page documenting that dog.
For sure.
Flashlight. Investigate crime. Okay, nobody's telling us that they're close. Lights. I always think of them as the sirens. I will tell you, as a young kid, when I would be in my dad's car, it was great. We weren't going to go get, any criminals. When you turn on the sirens, it was like big deal for a little kid. Police station. I'll tell you, those asking about a free space. Some parts have free spaces, some don't. It just depends on how many words I have. Pip, you'll understand that. Pip was saying how difficult it was to come up with 50 bingo words. What? Anyone? You too? Yeah. Okay. Donut. Pip is one away.
Oh man.
That's almost every thon, for less, right? We keep him in his own little room for thons. Gun. Coffee. That goes well with the donuts. Oh, we got a couple that's went away. College and school. This is interesting because, we got a bingo. Oh, Flo, you just almost got it.
So close.
Almost got it. I want to point out real quick before we mention Pip that to be a police officer, there is a school, as well as EMT, as well as firefighter. These are all schools that you got to go to. Wow, look at all the bingos that started popping up.
All kinds of bingos.
Right.
Okay, so Pip, you did exactly what I asked you to do. Thank you so much. Bingo, bingo, bingo. So I can see it. That's pretty cool. Okay, so, that was nice. So, Pip, we have it on record that you're going to give your prize to Flo. That's so nice.
Oh, Pip, you're so nice.
So, again, Flo, then what you need to do is email Eowyn, and she will get you all the information of what you can select from. I won't show the bingo mug again, but it is the bestseller. That was very nice of you, Pip. Congratulations, everybody. That was pretty quick too. How we had all the bingos come up at the same time. And I saw another question in there. If I miss it, I'll put this up. I saw another question in there for you, see, but if I miss it, but yeah, the coffee and donuts are perfect. So let's go over then. If we want to join the project, we go to your project page, and you have the join. But I really want to point out again these stickers.
Right.
Because I know that we'll still get more questions because there are so many different types of police officers or so many different types of first responders. Again, where it says the text, you do have some freedom here to be a little bit more specific on what type of police officer, what type of firefighter. I don't know. I guess even the law enforcement could have a station.
Absolutely.
I have to run away.
All right. Bye.
See you later on.
Okay.
So you do have that flexibility. And I know this question is going to come up a lot more. That can I include this police officer or that type of firefighter or so on? So I want to point that out, that you do have that flexibility in the text part to be a little bit more specific if you need to or if you want to. And don't forget, in the profile itself, you can have tons of notes and document and biography in there. Okay, and I wanted to see this. This was kind of interesting to me because we were talking about the school, the first responder qualification.
Mhm.
I thought this was great that you added this because a lot of us don't know how much education that first responders have to go through. And the other reason why I thought this was great is if possibly this bingo on WikiTree inspired you to look at taking a first responder job, Steve has given you a lot of information on where to go to next. And you never know. I mean, and I love this too because the rescuers. This is where you could also use the text and the stickers. If a rescuer was a particular type of rescuer, like a diver, you could also put that in the sticker text. We have a lot of that. We have a really large lake by us. So we have a lot of divers that actually go in the lake and pull out the individuals.
Right. And this is also going to be where a lot of the project collaboration and stuff will come along with the Worldwide Disasters Project. So they will, a lot of these large mines and, stuff that are out there, they have people that are employed specifically for, extrication in the event of a collapse of a mine or something of that nature as well. So, those people are all trained specifically for types of jobs, so that they absolutely qualify as well.
It's really cool because that's a good point. When you bring up the mines, you do have specific mine fire departments.
Yep, absolutely.
And some larger companies even have specific police force. So if I was a security guard, would that qualify? It's a tough one. I'm not really sure if it would.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I don't know that it would necessarily qualify because it doesn't really meet the, their primary duty is not, as a first responder.
Mhm.
So, obviously, we don't want to leave them out. They may not fall under, kind of the scope of the project, but feel free to put the occupational stickers on there. Get recognition of those people.
And here's the that we're talking about that they don't qualify, but have relatives in their respective state emergency services. So if I'm a 911 operator,
Mhm.
are they considered a first responder in this scope of this project?
I would say in the scope of this project, we would consider them, even though they may not be actively in the field. They are providing a huge service. A lot of 911 operators will actually have a lot of medical training or some medical background. They can actually walk people through CPR over the phone, which if you've ever taken a CPR course, they're relatively easy. But if you're having to perform an emergency service like this yourself in person, it's relatively stressful, and these operators can actually talk somebody through it over a phone to help save a life. So yeah, I would definitely say that for 911 operators and such would absolutely qualify for this project.
Would I use the emergency? Well, I'm not sure. What sticker might I use for that?
So again, these are all just general occupation stickers here.
Okay.
So you could change the image, to something different. You may qualify them under, maybe the police officer badge if that was their primary duty, was operating for a police department, or something of that nature. Again, these occupation stickers have a lot of flexibility, so you can add new images, tweak the text around to fit your needs.
And I don't know if this is what Mary meant, but this would be another example, a park ranger that is a park ranger police.
Mm-hmm.
That would still be under this type of sticker that we have here. And again, that text would give you that flexibility where you could write exactly the job that they cover for the state parks. You could say just state park police officer. Or it is.
Right.
So I think that you've given us, by using those occupation stickers, so much flexibility. You haven't tied us down to just one type of particular police officer, because like I said, there were the traffics, there's the detectives, there's chief of police, there are, the police officer that is in the ranger or on the Native American reservation. So there's a lot of flexibility here.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
who am I missing?
Tribal.
Oh, that's
federal
right.
police.
So okay, well let's take this. So the Secret Service. I think they would qualify. They have the badge, they have the gun, they do provide
Absolutely.
service. So I would use this badge that I have highlighted and just say specifically that they were Secret Service, I think. So who are we missing? Who, I know we talked about the police and we talked about firefighters a lot. Who are we missing on the EMT side? We've got the ambulance drivers. And would they qualify?
Yeah, and that one's actually going to be kind of hard because there's so many different terms that are in use for it. And support my little background here today is actually in honor of my daughter. She is a emergency medical technician. She's still going to school and working on an ambulance at the same time. Her goal is to become a paramedic. Once she reaches the paramedic stage, she'll probably work that for a few years, and she may also look into moving over to like the ER side. So that's something that we may also want to consider is, a lot of emergency personnel work in emergency rooms, and they will handle those incoming trauma cases. Trauma nurses, trauma surgeons, they may all fall under that EMT paramedic type thing as well.
That's a really, really good point, because they do. I'm thinking helicopter the nurses that fly in the helicopters would definitely fall under this as well. And Judy brought up some great examples too. We talked about the federal police, but the SWAT. So that would be another thing that you could easily customize in that sticker. Police negotiators, this is an awesome one as well. We just talked about this too. The flight nurses, the Doctors Without Borders. So this, when you first think of this project, you think, okay, I'm focused straight on the police. I'm focused straight on a firefighter and maybe somebody in an ambulance, but it goes so much further than that. And Carol brought up another good one as well. I hope everybody's remembering some of these, because I know everybody has profiles that you could probably tag and categorize, but the social workers now are part of the police force as well. And I would say those would probably, I would guess they would be under emergency medical technician maybe, as opposed to police.
Yeah, they'd fall kind of under the EMT realm, because it's some type of doctorate that they're working through. But like I said, so again, these are just general occupation stickers. These are just a couple of examples. And then maybe as people are joining the project, or even if you want to reach out in the G2G welcome post and, give me some ideas, I can create another page that is just, a bunch of examples of different stickers. And we can cover a lot of different items, such as those flight nurses, trauma surgeons, things of that nature. We're not really limited to badges here. So police officers have badges. Firefighters normally have patches. EMTs have patches. We're really not limited in scope. This is more about recognizing all of these personnel and the services they provide, and ultimately if they've lost their life performing this service. But we also don't want to restrict this and say, okay, well, they had to have had a badge number. They had to have been included on a certain website. We don't really have that, type of a restriction. It's a lot more flexible than that.
And I agree. Like Steve just said, it's so flexible. There are so many out there. And this project is kind of like a hidden gem to me. Like Steve said, it's under the global projects. So if you're on the main project page, you're not going to see it instantly. Click on the word global to get to the global projects, and you'll see this one pop up. Or I've also have it linked in the bingo page as well as here, and make sure that you go to the G2G. Dispatchers count. I think that was the 911. We talked about that. They do count. And great job on the project. I feel like you, Mary G, are such pals with this project, bringing it to life.
I'm about to say,
Department of Corrections.
you started it. You gave me the motivation to get in there and, help, spin it up and really get it on its feet. Now we just need a bunch of people to join in and give us a hand.
And no, and start adding the stickers. If you don't like stickers, you can always do the categories to these profiles, because it's really important that we see them. Now, the one thing before I let everybody go that we didn't talk about, but I want to mention real quick so Steve can tell us more about it, the civil defense. We didn't talk about this last sticker. So that would qualify for who?
That one's a little bit harder to classify.
That one is. I think, you know what I think of? I think of also it was mostly women or sometimes children, teenagers, but back around World War II when they were doing the site looking for planes and things like that, that was a civil defense part of it.
This kind of stems from some of the old military information. And if anyone sees the logo, you can actually go look up civil defense on Wikipedia. So this is actually from like an international humanitarian law that started back during like the Cold War, I believe, early in the United Kingdom back in like 1915. And these are people that weren't necessarily, let's say, military personnel, but they were specifically going out and dealing with the aftermath of the wars. So in the context of the First Responders Project, that kind of starts looking at people that are, trained in disaster type operations, kind of like we were talking about.
And this is what Carol kind of brought up, something in current events. And I was thinking as you were saying that, Steve, that there are certain responders that go in to help those. So I would say definitely, as Steve mentioned, look it up. But I would also say that you would probably know also if you have somebody that would be appropriate for that sticker in your family, you would probably know, again, those stories come down. And if I would look it up, and then you go, oh, well, Uncle Joe qualifies for that sticker. So let me go ahead and put that sticker in as well. So I think that's important. And I want to point out for those, I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the very beginning, the reason kind of why this project came around, I believe, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, around the town that she lives in, EMT was killed in an accident while on duty. And it struck her at her heart so much that she wanted to somehow recognize this person. And she's already on WikiTree's. So she put it together, to how do I do this on WikiTree? And that's where Steve stepped in and really helped out and flesh out this project to where it is today. And Flo, my great aunt, was a WAC. And that one, there is a separate military category for that one, but we do love our WACs as well.
And there's also WASPs.
That's
if you don't know that one, look it up.
I forgot that.
Yep.
Okay, so does anybody have any other questions before we let you all go? And I want to say congratulations again to Pip for winning bingo, and especially for passing the prize over to Flo. That was really cool of you to do that. That was special. So that's great. And again, if you have any questions at all, go to the page. Remember, if you're on the main project page, click on Global. You'll find it there. Please, if you want to join, please, we need some more of these profiles in WikiTree. We need to see the sticker bling on some profiles here as well. Join up. The more that better. And for people like Carol, that your entire family is a first responder, then you have to sign up. This is just a perfect project for you. It works out well. And that's about it, guys. So we'll say goodbye. I'll see everybody in a few hours, including Pip, for our first Hispanic bingo, the Puerto Rico project. So bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.